بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Last week we went over some things related to the fast. Who is the fast or siyam wajib upon? For those who were here, there's no questions. Today, inshallah, we will go over what is prescribed for the fasting person. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتاب القرآن يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in this verse, O those who believe, He has prescribed upon you the fast. كَمَا كُتِبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, as it was prescribed from the people from before, and perhaps you're able to attain taqwa. So siyam, the fast of Ramadan, as we understand, it is something that is wajib, fard. Ala kullu Muslim, it is fard upon all Muslims who reach the age of puberty. From last week, we went over some of the signs. What is the sign when a child reaches puberty? I went over some things about those who must fast and those who are exempt from fasting. For example, like the elderly person who is sick, have a chronic illness, the person who is traveling, the person who is sick. But the person who has the chronic illness, meaning there is no cure for them, that upon them is al-Fiqhi. Upon them is paying atonement. One poor person each day. And it mentioned about the one who is elderly, who's not able to fast due to the age, and the fast is a hardship upon them. Upon them is fidya. Then I mentioned about the two who are Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give them a ruqsa, give them a reason or the permission to break their fast. The one who is sick, but he's going to get his health back. Someone got a cold, got a flu. The one who is traveling. That Allah says for them, they make up their days at another particular time. So it's understood that the one who is traveling and fasting, I also mentioned, the one who is traveling, they have the option either to fast or to break their fast. So the one who is traveling, if he has the strength and he wants to fast, he has the option to fast. If the one who is traveling and he has broken his fast, he has an excuse. He has the ruqsa from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the one who is fasting, who is traveling, and the other person who is traveling and not fasting, they shouldn't look bad at each other, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave one the permission to break his fast, and the one who is traveling has that permission, and the one who is traveling wants to hold his fast, he's able to do so. Then we have mentioned some things about those who are not able to fast related to al-hayd wa al-nifas, related to the menstrual woman who's menstruating and the woman who's affected with postulating bleeding, that they cannot fast. Then we had talked about the woman who is pregnant and breastfeeding. And I mentioned two different opinions related to the woman who is breastfeeding. The one who is pregnant or breastfeeding, they have the option to pay al-Fiqhi, and they have the option, which is upon them, al-Qada. But some of the Ahlul have said the one who paid the Fiqhi, who's going to make the payment or the payouts, the responsibility is upon the one who is responsible over the child. And some scholars say, related to this opinion, that the person who pays the Fiqhi, that some scholars say, paying it out, this is incorrect, rather is upon them al-Qada. Qada means that they have to make up the fast. And those are two options we spoke about. Today we're not going to go through all of that. Today, due to time now, because maybe next Friday, inshallah, related, or if the moon is sighted, inshallah, might be the first night of Ramadan, depending if the moon is sighted. So today I'm going to try my best to talk about what's desired for the fasting person to do and what nullifies the fast. What the fasting person should be doing and what nullifies the fast. What is desired for the fasting person? One is a suhoor. Suhoor means it is a meal taken at the time before the Fajr, dawn, or morning prayer by the person observing the fast. Where else, presented by Anas radiallahu anhu, that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to take suhoor, the pre-dawn meal, for in the suhoor is blessing. And this is narration that you can find in al-Bukhari or Muslim. So to take the suhoor, even if it is a mouthful of water, you should take suhoor even if it is a mouthful of water. Narrated by Abdul Adheem Badawi, radiallahu anhu, said, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said to take suhoor even if it's a mouthful of water. Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, hafidhullah, he said in his book, al-Mulakas al-Fiqhi, some of the people take suhoor early because they stay up late. Meaning, then they take the suhoor and they sleep before Fajr. So that means that they take the suhoor before they sleep, before Fajr comes in. There's a number of mistakes with those who perform that. He said, first, they fast before the time to fast. He said, firstly, they fast before the time to fast. Second, they abandon the Fajr prayer and conjugation and disobey Allah by abandoning what is wajib, what is obligatory on them. And that is the salat and conjugation. He said, third, possible they delay the Fajr prayer from its proper time and do not pray until the sun rises. This is a serious offense and a big sin. Allah the Most High said, فَوَيْلِ لِلْمُصَّلِينَ. So woe unto those who perform the salat prayer, meaning the hypocrites. الَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنْ صَلَاتِهِمْ سَاهُونَ. Those who delay their salat prayers from a fixed time. So they delay their prayer from the fixed time, meaning they pray in a time which is not prescribed. He continued to say, it's a must. The intentions of the obligation, or the intentions of the obligation fast, is from the night before you pray. Some scholars hold the view you must renew your intentions every night that you're going to fast. You must renew your intention. And if he intends to fast, he should wait. He wakes up after the sun appears. Indeed, he holds back by not eating during drinking or having any type of relationship. And he fasts is correct. Meaning the one who oversleep, the sun rises, and he didn't get a time to take his suhoor, that he continued to fast, and this is correct. 2, delay the suhoor. Now there's some itilaf between some of the scholars on when to take suhoor and when to stop eating. I had mentioned this last year a number of times. Inshallah, I'll review it again, inshallah, during Ramadan, because the topics want to come up again. A hadith by Zayd bin Thabit radiyallahu anhu, he said, we took the suhoor with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then we stood for the salah. He asked, how much was the interview between the two suhoor and Salatul Fajr? He said, the interview was the range of 50 verses of the Quran, narrated by al-Bukhari wa Muslim. So what is the time between? The time between suhoor and Fajr, how much time passed by? He said that what? The range of reciting 50 verses from the Quran. 50 verses of the Quran. After reflecting on a hadith of Abu Dar radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, my ummah will continue with good, with the condition as long they prolong the suhoor and haste to the iftar. They prolong the suhoor and they haste the iftar. So we understand the iftar and the suhoor you delay it, and the iftar you break it as soon as it comes in. 3, hasten to the iftar. Hasten to break their fast, meaning in this time, not before the time. Some people misunderstand this. Hasten to the iftar, it means yes, breaking the iftar in its proper time and not delaying the iftar. Related to the hadith, that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the people will continue to be good with the condition that what? They haste to break the fast. And this hadith is agreed upon. Number 4, breaking the fast with rubad, wet dates. And if they was not present, dry dates, older dates. I have a whole bunch of them upstairs from last Ramadan. If they're not present, then with water. So you should break your fast with dates. Break the fast with dates. A hadith of Anas radiallahu anhu, he said Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam broke his fast before he prayed Salatul Maghrib. He broke his fast before he prayed Salatul Maghrib. This is very important. With wet dates, fresh dates. And if the wet dates were not present, then with dry dates, old dates. And if the dry dates were not present, then he sipped, he drank full of water. He drank something of water. He drank some water. This narration is by Abu Dawud. And Al-Hakim and authenticated it and transmitted. The supplication, number 5, supplicating at the time of iftar. The hadith of Umar radiallahu anhu, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, when he was going to break his fast, he had said, thirst has vanished. The veins been trialed and now they are moist, refreshed, and Allah will reward for the fast certainly established. And this hadith is from Abu Dawud and Al-Hakim or Al-Bayhaqi. And inshallah, I'll probably post this hadith in Arabic, inshallah, on our site for those who need. Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, hafidhullah, he said that, and there is an affair that is an obligation to warn about, related to iftar. He said there's a fear related to iftar that needs to be warned. He said, indeed, some of the people sit at the table for the time for their iftar, and they eat and abandon the Salatul Maghrib with the congregation in the masjid. They perform this huge mistake, and that is to delay on the congregational prayer in the masjid, and they pass on themselves a mighty reward and expose themselves for a punishment. It is known that the one who fasts, that he breaks his fast first, then he goes to the masjid for the congregation prayer, then he eats after that. So taking the big meal. We have many people who do this mistake. They take the iftar in the house and don't come to the masjid for the salah. Meaning they take the big dinner in their house and they do not come to the masjid to pray at all. So the Shaykh says it's okay. You break the fast with dates in your house. Then after that, you come to the masjid and you pray the congregational prayer. Alhamdulillah, in many cases, in many masjids now, you'll find that they have dates and water in the masjid for you to break your fast and for you to pray in the salah. Number 6. I mentioned the khutbah today. If anyone is insulted or behave ignorant towards you, then he should say, indeed I am fasting, indeed I am fasting. Innani sa'im, innani sa'im. This is the hadith I mentioned today in the khutbah. Related to Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, that Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, so when any one of you are fasting the day of Ramadan, there is no sexual relationship. There is no sexual relationship. La yarfat. As the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, no sexual relationship. And the day hours of Ramadan, day hours of the fast, and no quarreling, yelling and arguments, screaming and shouting. And if someone insults you or come to fight you, verily, it is a need to be said, indeed I am fasting, indeed I am fasting 2 times. Narrated by Bukhari and Muslim. Shaykh Fawzan Hafidhullah also says in the al-Mulakas, al-Fiqhi, he said, and it is a must for the Muslim that he works with the remembrance of Allah and reciting the book of Allah and doing much nawafil, good deeds. Nawafil, extra sunnah prayers. So indeed the Salaf, our pious predecessors from the first generation of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is from the Messenger of Allah and the Sahaba and the Tabi'een, when they fast, they sat in the masjids. When they fast, meaning during their fasting hours, they sat in the masjid. And they said, we protect our fasting and we do not backbite anyone. And Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, whoever does not leave off false speech and his action, for Allah has no need for him leaving off his food and drink. And this hadith is from Bukhari, and the hadith is narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu. I mentioned this in the khutbah today about what is upon the Muslim to do while he is fasting. I mentioned about the pillars of the fast, which is what? Rukn al-awwal and niyat. The niyat and niyat. Rukn al-thani is what? Al-imsak, holding back. Hada shakl as-siyam. This is the shakl, the outward appearance of the fast. Staying away, first having the niyat to fast, as we heard the hadith I read today, and holding back from food and drink in the sexual act. But we have the other spiritual part of the fast, which is staying away from ghiba wa namima. Staying away from backbiting. Stay away from gossiping. Stay away from those haram things that are forbidden in Ramadan and outside Ramadan. As the month of Ramadan is the month to purify yourselves. Ramadan is the month to purify yourself from all type of bad deeds, ill manners. The Shaykh continued to say, because that does not complete the action that get a Muslim close to Allah, the Most High, with abandoning permitted desires, many things that are lawful. And upon him, in every case, from lying or oppressing, attacking the people, spilling the people's blood and their money, and fighting and their wealth and their honor. So, for example, this is Ramadan, and the person is still lying, still cheating, still backbiting, still passing along with namima, and all these things, what do we say about their fast? This is a very important question. What do we say about their fast? If a person in the day hours of Ramadan is still lying, still cheating, still gossiping, but he's holding back from food and drink, he has his intention there, then we say yes, from the shakul al-siyam al-sahih. The outward appearance of the siyam is sahih. وَلَكِنْ الْعَجَلَهُمْ نَاقِص. Al-ajal naqis. The reward of his fast is diminished. When the ones who keep on lying and cheating, the ones who keep on bearing false witness, the one who's busy with doing these things that are not permitted, or looking things that are not permitted during the day hours of Ramadan, or at nighttime of Ramadan, then his ajr, his reward from the fasting, has become naqis. It is starting to be diminished. Wallahu a'lam. But it's something that is very important, because in the Western world, it's not like in the Muslim world in some cases. You have sometimes in the Western world, like in America, due to the culture and the society, that people are, Muslims are involved with things that they don't know that it's haram, or they're weak. So you can find when Ramadan comes, you can find a Muslim, been Muslim 10 years, 15 years, he's been Muslim, he's still committing zina, even in Ramadan. Still committing zina. Got a girlfriend. You would say, okay, I won't commit with zina with her in the day hours, because jima' haram fi nahar Ramadan la yajuz. You say having a sexual relationship, it is haram in Ramadan in the day hours, but then he would commit zina with his girlfriend at night. Juhad. And juhad, this person is completely ignorant. Believe me or not, believe it or not, there are Muslims like this in our communities. There's Muslims like this in our communities. And me being an imam in the masjid and giving dawah, I had met many brothers like this. So now I'm addressing brothers like this, because this talk is actually on the internet. I said it a couple today, I wish I put it live. So this is my opportunity, because I put these talks live. Those brothers who got girlfriends, who are living with women they're not married to, 15 years, 10 years, 15 years, committing zina with the woman, fornicating. Do you know what are the sins for fornication in Islam? In Islam, under the Sharia Allah, the one who fornicates, he get what? He get lashed. And then there are some punishments you're going to get in the next life. It says some of the signs of the person who's the zani, the fornicator. Allah makes his money little, face become black, always broke, always into problems. Think about Ramadan. Ramadan is the month where the person purifies himself, purify his soul, purify his deeds. Then this is the month where that person who's living this type of lifestyle, he needs to get away from it now, because you're not promised to see the next Ramadan. Then the next type of person, he's not committing zina, but he smokes cigarettes. And in the day hours of Ramadan, he stay away from the cigarettes. This is the best time to stop smoking. Ramadan is the best time to stop smoking. And it's not hard. Because when I became Muslim, I used to smoke. When I became Muslim, I was smoking. So when I used to fast in the daytime, I couldn't smoke. All these things helped me to quit smoking. So I met one imam from Bangladesh. He used to say to us, man, if you die from smoking, you know I wouldn't pray your janazah. He said, because you're killing yourself. So when Ramadan used to come, he used to tell the people, man, you smoke, you got to quit smoking. This man is always focusing on Muslims to quit smoking. So this is how I stopped smoking. Ramadan is a good time for those who smoke to quit smoking. Back to the talk. The Shaykh says also, a hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah, the fasting person in worship, he doesn't backbite a Muslim, nor harm a Muslim. He narrated another narration. He says, how is the person who fasts and persists with eating the flesh of the people? Backbiting. So he says, so the fasting person leave off things that are mubah, like lawful to do, like eating and drinking. But the circumstance of the fasting from the first step is to abandon things which are haram. So the thing he must do is abandon things which are haram. Alright? Yeah, so the fasting person, he abandoned things of that are not permissible in Ramadan. What is prohibited to do outside of Ramadan is prohibited to do inside of Ramadan. Number 7. Yeah, the Shaykh said to abandon things which are not lawful to do. And that's inside of Ramadan and outside of Ramadan. So, for example, before I go to number 7, many Muslims in the day hours of Ramadan, they will stay away from eating and drinking, but they will watch TV. This is the big one right here. And this is the big one. They're watching movies. They're watching women who are naked. If they don't have hijab on in Islam, they're naked. If they don't have hijab on in Islam, they're naked. Even if they have hijab on, it's tight. It's not hijab. They're naked. So watching things, listening to things that are haram, even in the day hours of Ramadan, daytime or nighttime, it is not permissible. Watching TV shows that are haram, watching things that are haram, watching and listening to things that are haram, like music. These things are impermissible inside of Ramadan and outside of Ramadan. Number 7, what's prescribed to do using a siwak, cleaning the teeth. Somebody asked me, can you use to clean your teeth in Ramadan? He said, oh, the Shaykh said it's forbidden, it's haram. No. Regarding a hadith of Amr, radiallahu anhu, he said, I saw the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam uncountable number of times with a siwak while he was fasting. And this narration is from Ahmed and Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi. So it's prescribed in the month of Ramadan that the Muslim is permissible to him to use the siwak. To use the siwak, it is permissible. So one cannot say he cannot clean his teeth during the fasting hour. One think that because you have the breath on your mouth of a fasting person, this is a good thing, but does not mean that it's prohibited for you cleaning your teeth. Number 8, to be generous and to study the Quran. To be generous at all times and study the Quran much in Ramadan. Narrated by al-Bukhari concerning Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he said Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam was the most generous. Ajwad min al-nas. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was the most generous person of all the people. He was the most generous of all the people. And he was the most generous in Ramadan. And then when Jibril alayhi salam met him, Jibril used to meet him every night of Ramadan to teach him the Quran. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam was the most generous person, ever more generous with good than the uncountable wind, which means that he was quick to doing all type of good deeds. So Ramadan, we are generous in Ramadan because this is the month that the deeds are doubled. Whatever you do in Ramadan, the deeds of it, the rewards are the double. And the Prophet used to be busy with the Quran. Because in the month of Ramadan is the month unzila fihi al-Quran. Is the month that the Quran was revealed. So in Ramadan is the month that the Muslims should be busy with the Quran. And this is a reminder for myself. Because in Ramadan is the time that when you pick up the Mus'haf to read, you should learn ahkam al-tajweed. This is for me. Ahkam al-Tajweed, the rules of reciting. And when you recite the Quran, to be mindful of lahin. Lahin means here grammatical mistakes or mistakes in reciting the Quran with pronunciation or pronouncing the words wrong. So us, the Arab speaker and the non-Arabic speaker, in the month of Ramadan, he should also focus on reading the Quran with correct recitation. And I always say that to the brothers who don't know how to read the Quran yet, that Ramadan is a good month that you should start learning to read the Quran. To learn to read the Arabic, the letters, because if you struggle with the Quran outside of Ramadan, the one who struggles with the Quran, we know that he gets what? A double reward anyway. The one who's ajami, mithli, like me now, when I struggle, Allah gave me reward. Now think about Ramadan. You learn how to read the Quran in Ramadan, man, how much reward you would get for struggling? In Ramadan, every deed is double. And just from reading the Quran and struggling with it, you get a double reward. So imagine how many rewards you would gather just from struggling to learn to read the Quran. The Ramadan is the month. That's why many masters from the Ramadan, they have halaqats for Quran. They have different sittings in the classes for learning reading the Quran. Number 9, diligence in worship in the last 10 nights of Ramadan. Narrated by al-Bukhari and Muslim regarding Aisha's narration, radiyallahu anha, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, whenever he entered Ramadan's last 10 days, he extended his nights for worship, which means he wakes up his family, he tightened his waist belt, his izar, meaning he's going to do acts of worship. So the last 10 nights of Ramadan is the night where we gather to the masjid and do extra acts of worship, seeking out Laylatul Qadr, the night of power. Number 10, to feed the one who are fasting. Somebody asked me a question last week about the class and asked, who do you feed? What you mean by feeding? You mean feeding the non-Muslim or the Muslim? So I hope this person is listening. There's a hadith by Zayd bin Khalid, radiyallahu anhu, related to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, who said, anybody offer a meal for the breaking of the fast of another person earns the same merit as the one who was observing the fast, without diminishing any way the recompense of the fasting person, meaning that you take nothing away from that person who is fasting. So yes, in Ramadan you feed the person the food to break their fast. You feed the person, give a meal to a person who is fasting to break their fast. And you earn the same merit of the one who is actually fasting without taking any away from that fasting person's reward. Now the next important topic. I want to knock out both. What nullifies the fast? And this, what I'm reading from is from some works I translated, Concise for Ramadan. So I try to put things that are straight to the point. But in reality, there could be many things that break the fast, or in reality, there's even things the scholars differ about if it breaks the fast or not. I try to cover some of them. But because we don't have a lot of time, I don't think we're going to make it next Friday. I think next Friday is going to be ready for, inshallah, if the moon is sighted, we will be praying Salatul Tarawih. So I don't think we'll be able to have this talk next Friday, so I want to get it all out tonight, inshallah. To the best of my ability, and make it a little bit concise. Number 1, related to what nullifies the fast and the obligation of al-Qada. Al-Qada alayhi. Al-Qada means to make up your fast. I'm going to use some terminology, so let's learn them right now. The terminology I'm going to use, one of them is called al-fidya. Fidya is payout, whether it's going to be through food. Al-kafara means the same thing as fidya, but kafara has some conditions. It might have a level. For example, you might read right now, you're going to read right now, kafara, the one who has sex in the day hours. It doesn't have fidya, it has kafara, which means first he has to free a slave. Not able to free a slave, he must fast 2 months consecutively. We're going to go. So I'm going to mention some terms. So we have fidya, which is the payment. For example, the person who got the chronic illness who can't fast, the elderly person who can't fast, they pay fidya. Fidya is they feed one miskin person each day, which is also al-kafara. In this tense, when I say kafara, it means there's 3 options you have to do. Either the first option, either you can't do, so they go to the second option. And then al-qada, qada means there's no payouts. You have to make up the fast. In some cases, in the case of jima, jamia, zawj, fi nahar Ramadan, the one who has sexual intercourse with his spouse in the day hours, upon them is kafara, which we go over, and upon them al-qada. I just want to get it right to myself right now, inshallah, and for those who are listening. So the first thing that breaks the fast, or the first thing we're going to talk about, is eating intentionally. Eating food through the day hours intentionally, not by accident. If you ate something by accident, it does not break your fast. Narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, he who eats or drinks forgetfully while fasting, complete the fast. Indeed, Allah feed him and gave him to drink. Alright, so somebody ate or drank, Allah gave him something to eat or drink. But the one who eats intentionally, his niyah is to eat, he knows he's fasting, he eats anyway, he broke his fast. 2, purging. What do purging mean? And there's a word in English people need to know. Purging means forcing yourself by your intention to throw up. Purging. It's called purging. Right? Making yourself throw up. Intentionally. Not the one who involuntarily throw up due to some illness or sickness. They throw up because they're sick. They fast is okay. But the one who forced himself to throw up. The one who is overpowered with vomiting, not by his choice, due to some illness or sickness, there is no qada, no making up the fast. It's on him. Narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, the one who uncontrollably vomits, not by his choice or intention due to some sickness, it is not upon him al-qada. And the one who purges, intentionally throws up, for al-qada, making up the fast, is upon him. And this narration is from Ahmed and Abu Dawud and Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah. And the hadith is agreed upon. Number 3, what break the fast? Al-hayd wa al-nifas. Wal-hayd wa al-nifas. Al-hayd wa al-nifas breaks the fast. The menstrual blood, menstruation of the woman, and the postnatal bleeding, meaning when a woman gives birth to the baby, that particular bleeding, that bleeding or vaginal bleeding in this case, the woman cannot fast. She's considered to be unclean. She cannot fast. And the nifas lasts for the woman 40 days. And nifas lasts for the woman 40 days. Some women come clean before that, but it's 40 days. Al-hayd and nifas, at the late moment before the sunset, al-qada is a must. And the scholar on the knowledge agree about. So the Shaykh here, who was saying this, he said the al-hayd and nifas. He said if it come at the late moment before the sun sets, that woman has to make it that fast. Alright? concerning the non-obligation of the fasting, meaning free from fasting, is on the woman who afflicted with al-hayd and nifas, the menstrual blood and the postnatal bleeding. So Abu Hurairah related that Abu Sa'id radiyallahu anhu said, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, does not the woman afflicted with the men's fast and pray? No. For those two reasons, the menses and the postnatal bleeding is the reason why the woman is weak in her deen. Why? Because while she is, the case have afflicted with mens, she cannot pray, she cannot fast. And when she has the fast, she cannot pray, she cannot fast. She said this is the reason the woman is weak in her deen. She cannot perform the fard like praying and fasting until she becomes pure from the mens. So the fast of the one who is afflicted with the mens or natal bleeding, it is not permissible. Alright? So the woman who is fasting, the woman who has the menstruation, she cannot fast. But she has to make up those fasting days. The woman who has the postnatal bleeding, the same thing. She make up the fast, she don't make up the salah. This is the rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Next, number 4. Al-Mani. Al-Mani means sperm. Sperm. The male sperm. The release of sperm, meaning during the day hours of the fast, from other than the sexual intercourse, for the reason of kissing one's spouse, or fondling, or other than that. And concerning the wet dream, it does not corrupt one's fast. Right? So Shaykh al-Fawzan, Hafidullah, said the release of sperm for the reason of kissing, and touching, and fondling, or ejaculation, or being aroused. He said if this happened, it corrupts the fasting person. Right? So there's some two different views. But the Shaykh here is saying that if the person has, this comes out a little bit from kissing his spouse, or fondling his spouse, or the wet dream, when the one went to sleep and he came out, it said does not corrupt one's fast. But Shaykh Uthaymeen, Shaykh Salih Abdullah hold the opinion that if they release the sperm for the reason of kissing somebody and the sperm comes out, or he has an ejaculation. I'm not talking about pre-ejaculation. We're not talking about pre-ejaculation. We're talking about the actual sperm. He said if this happened, it corrupts the fasting person fast. And on him is al-qada, without any kafara. He says upon him is al-qada, make up the fast, but not upon him al-kafara, the payment of the atonement, or the atonements. Because the kafara is for the one who had the sexual intercourse, meaning was inside the woman. During the day hours of the fast, if a person has a wet dream, for there's nothing upon him, and his fast is correct, because that falls under the condition he did not intend it. He went to sleep, and when he was sleeping and he had a wet dream, it was not his intention. So he said that upon that person, you just need to make ghusl from being in a state of junab. But if the one who was masturbating, upon him is al-qada. Upon him is making it fast. Alright, part B. What nullifies the fast and the obligation of al-qada, making up the fast, and the kafara, the atonement, that is on him. That is a person who performed the sexual intercourse in the day hours of Ramadan. In a hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah, radiyallahu anhu, a man, Salma bin Shakir, or Sakir, came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and said, "O Messenger of Allah, I am ruined. I am ruined." He replied, "I had sexual intercourse with my wife during Ramadan." He said to him, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to him, this is very important, "Can you free a slave?" So first thing, he said, "Can you free a slave?" He said, "No." And he asked, "Can you fast 2 months consecutively?" without breaking your fast? He said no. And he asked, can you provide food for 60 people? He said no. So that's 3 things. So he said no. He then sat down. Meanwhile, a basket containing about 30 sa'a dates came. A lot of dates, a certain portion of dates came. Containing dates were brought to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, the Prophet said to him, give this as sadaqah for the kafara. Give this dates as sadaqah. Right? So that's what? 4 things. Right? No, that's 3 things. Right? So he said to him, the man said to him, am I to give to the one who is more, he said, am I to give to the one who is more poor than we are? He said, there is no family between the 2 mountains of Medina more in need of it than mine. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam thereupon laughed till his premolar teeth appeared. He then said, go and feed your family with it. His narration is from Ibn Majah and Abu Dawood related to this. So let's talk about this. The one who has sex during the day hours of Ramadan. Can I say, okay, somebody commit the sexual act between the hours of Ramadan, the fasting hours? Can he just say, okay, I'm just going to go get food for 60 people? That's not the order the Prophet ﷺ gave. First order, he said what? He said, can you free a slave? Ain't no slaves in America. Majority of Muslim countries today, there are no slaves. Right? So you go for the second option, which is to what? Fast 2 months consecutively. And if the one is not able to that, then he's not able to fast 2 months consecutively, then upon him is what? Feeding 60 poor people. So let's finish. What nullifies the fast and the obligation of qada, making up the fast? There's a different opinions related to certain things, medical things now. And there's some different opinions related to which I'm reading from the works of Shaykh Salih Fawzan. And he says nose droppings. The nose droppings. But there's some ikhtilaf in that issue. The Shaykh says receiving water which is similar to nose drop in the inner path of the nose. It is like sniffing it up. Alright? So the Shaykh, I put some notes in here before I read. There's a narration from the Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that said, perform your wudu, ablution. Run your fingers through the fingers of the hands as well as between the toes. And sniff the water well into the nose unless you are fasting. Meaning, do not do it if you're fasting. This is reported from Abu Dawood and some other narration. So there's some different opinion, rather put in nose or medicine in the nose. Alright? Taking shots. Going to the doctor, getting the shot. Does this break the fast or not? To take nutrients in the form of a shot from the path of the vein or an injection shot for the fasting person. All of this corrupts the fast. I don't know, there's no ikhtilaf on that. There's no different opinion. Taking a shot that has like some type of vitamin or nutrients inside the shot, this breaks the fast. If the shot has no nutrient, the doctor knows. You ask the doctor, he will tell you. And that does not corrupt your fast. If the shot has some type of nutrient, some vitamins in it, then upon you is al-qada. Trying to skip through some things. Taking blood from the body, at-tahleel, for analyzing the blood. This does not break the fast. So going to the doctor to take a little bit of blood work for a blood test does not break the fast. But If you go into the doctor and you're giving blood to donate, they take a certain portion or quantity of blood from you. Many scholars say this breaks, corrupts one fast. Related to cupping. And this is laugh about cupping during Ramadan. So taking the blood with cupping, or bleeding a lot, or withdraw blood from donating from emergency ambulance, or for the ill in the hospital, so all of this break the fast. Some scholars also say the people who have dialysis, kidney issues, right? People go to the dialysis for the kidneys. It flushes the kidneys. It flushes the blood, right? This also breaks the fast. The dialysis breaks the fast. Upon that person is qada, depending on how many times or how much they have to go to the dialysis. So donating blood, cupping, these things break the fast. Regarding to a little bit of blood, like I said, analyzing the blood, this not breaks one fast. What is this like to do while fasting? One of the things, like I mentioned, when you're making wudu, sniffing up, inhaling the water in the nose. You might take some of it down. As the Prophet said, to be cautious about this, the sniffing of the water in the nose for the one who is fasting. Now, there's some different opinions related to the cupping. The Prophet ﷺ came across a man in al-Baqi who was being cupped in Ramadan. He said, the one who cups and the one who cupped have broken their fast. The one who's actually doing the cupping, getting the blood taken from him, the guy who's doing it for him, he said the two broke their fast. And this narration is from al-Tirmidhi, Ahmed, and considered to be authentic. Narrated by Anas, he said the first time when cupping from one who was fasting was disapproved was when Ja'far bin Abi Talib had himself cupped while he was fasting. And the Prophet ﷺ came across him and said, both of these have broken their fast. Afterward, the Prophet ﷺ allowed cupping for the one who was fasting. And Nash used to have himself cupped when he was fasting. And this hadith, some scholars consider to be strong. As for the matter of undesirable, the cupping does not invalidate the fasting person according to the majority of the scholars. But the same is weakness, which is turned more for someone into breaking a fast. So it says that basically the one who cups himself, why scholars say it breaks the fast, and it's this slight cupping, because when you do cupping while you're fasting, what happens? It's taking blood from you. So most likely, when you do the cupping, losing a lot of blood, you're going to make you weak. You're already weak from the fast, and you're doing the cupping, it's going to weaken your fast, it's going to force you to break your fast due to being weak. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ had said from the other narrations that the one who does the cupping, he has broke his fast. Why? Because it weakens the person. But a lot of scholars hold that doing the cupping, this breaks the fast. Alright? It breaks the fast. So I'd like to talk one about off topic now. We finished with the nullifiers of the fast. There's a lot more to it, but we cannot cover all these things, and I want to end soon, inshallah.
I have a question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
You mentioned about touching.
Touching like what?
I mean, the spouse is touching and kissing. Is it even allowed during fasting?
You could kiss your wife.
While fasting?
Or fasting. I'm not talking about long kiss. The Prophet used to kiss his wife. But there's a case when a man came. He asked the Prophet, if I kiss my wife, does it break the fast? Is this something okay? Be okay in one sense. But you got to look at the person. If you're a young guy, newly married, I wouldn't advise it. Matter of fact,
No,
Matter of fact, I'm going to answer your question right here why you shouldn't do it. I'm going to answer it right here. I translated this thing the other day. It's a question and answer. And it's related to a young man. I like to play first the audio. I like to play the audio. It's in Arabic.
الوالد يقول السائل شاب تزوج حديثا وجامع زوجته في نهار رمضان 5 مرات في كل يوم مرة فماذا عليه؟ عليه كفارات كل يوم عن صيام شهرين متتابعين وهذا شاب من نشيط مشاور عن كل صيام نعم. So somebody asked the Shaykh Salih Abdullah Hafidhullah. He said, there's a young man who was newly married right before Ramadan. And he said this young man had wife of his wife 5 times, 1 time each day. What is upon him? So the Shaykh said, Hafidhullah, he said upon him is al-kafara, the atonement for breaking the fast. And as for each day he broke his fast, he must fast 2 months consecutively. So that's what, 5 days? Each day he broke his fast. What, 10 months? Huh? Then the Shaykh says, that youth is diligent. MashaAllah, he's an adult, and he knows the meaning of the difference between right and wrong, and he's able to fast. Upon him is fasting. So if you're newly married, and you're talking about following your wife, or kissing your wife, and you know it will lead to something, and I would tell you to leave it, do not do it. Some people are old. So you have some older men who are older. They could control themselves. If they kiss their wife, it won't arouse them. They could control themselves. But there's some young people, or newly married people. You know, even in the Muslim world, people don't get married in Ramadan, or even before Ramadan. Right before Ramadan, people don't get married. You go like in an Arab country, in some Muslim country, people don't even talk conversation about marriage in Ramadan or before Ramadan, because you know the people are going to fall into certain type of sins. All right. So that will answer that question, you know. Does it break the fast? But it doesn't break the fast. Kissing does not break the fast. I kiss my mother. That breaks my siyam.
Well, that's different.
Kissing is kissing, meaning what is the lawful kissing, right? I kiss my mother, I kiss my wife. Doesn't break the fast. But some scholars don't like it because what it could lead, especially if you're a young guy, you have those type of, you're aroused like that, then I would tell that person, don't do that.
Yeah, that's what I was actually on the touching part. Like, most definitely. It doesn't matter young or age. Touching would lead to something, especially if it's your spouse. Yeah, now if you feel it would lead, I wouldn't do it. If you feel it that way, I wouldn't do it. Huh? Yeah, because you might just lose yourself. You know? We got some men who got control. You have some men, when they get older, they have control over themselves. You know? Inshallah, one day. Maybe when your father's age, inshallah. Your father's age, huh? 60. Maybe not. You'd be surprised. Huh? The other question I was reading, I wanted to read something about the people who fast in Ramadan but don't pray. That's a big one. You know, because I work with Muslims before, and I've been in Ramadan and then on Salah, and it's like, hey, fasting. I'm like, you know. So fasting and Salah goes hand in hand. So a question was asked. The Shaykh bin Baz, rahimahullah, what is the ruling? He who fasts and abandons Salah, the fard prayer, is his fast correct? The Shaykh answered, it's incorrect to abandon the Salah intentionally. He disbelieved with that action, and that is major kufr, major disbelief. With that, it is not correct his fast, nor there is established ibadah, act of worship, for him until he makes tawbah. He repents to Allah. For Allah saying in the Quran, but if you join in worship others with Allah, that used to do will have been no benefit to them, meaning all their deeds are lost. What came in the meaning from these verses collected from the Prophet ﷺ, the people of knowledge, with the agreement that he does not disbelieve, because in that case, because of that, mean become kufr. Nor is his fast and his act of worship are null, as long as he understands the position of his obligation.
It is to be that he leaves off the salat reluctantly or out of laziness. So the first statement is correct, that he abandoned the salat intentionally, and he understands the position, the meaning obligation of the salat. For the proof are much. The Prophet ﷺ said, between the man and the woman is kufr. Between the man and disbelief is al-kufr. Disbelief and shirk, polytheism belief, and leaving the salah. And it's collected by a Muslim. And regarding his statement, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they convey the contract which is between us and between them is the salah. So who abandoned it, for indeed he disbelieved. And this hadith is collected by Imam Ahmed. So the salah is very important. And the Shaykh also said, indeed, added to this, Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah, and the statement in that is lettered, in the letter, to the ruins of the salah and abandon it. And there's a letter that is a benefit to review, meaning that the issues related to abandoning the salah and praying, this is a big issue of abandoning the salah and the siyam. You know, you have some Muslims who don't pray during Ramadan and don't pray at all. And they'll come for the fast, they come for the iftar, they will come for salat al-Taraweeh, but they won't pray the Fard Salah. You have many Muslims like this. So it's very important that the Muslim understand the importance of salah, and abandoning the salah is kufr. So the Muslim need to try hard to make all his salah in Ramadan and out of Ramadan. And we will end with that, inshallah. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik wa sallallahu wa ant wa astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد